Okay, hi everyone. I don't know how well you can see me because it's kind of dark out, so we'll have a little bit of fun with this, but we're currently in the middle of New Jersey, and we've got a woodcock in hand, and so we're going to let Kathleen kind of take things over and walk you through all the exciting research that they're doing with woodcocks here in New Jersey. So any questions you have or anything, feel free to send them in, and we'll do our best to get them answered. So.
Okay, so we have our very posh banding station here in New Jersey. We have our setup right here with our scale to measure how heavy the woodcock is, because that is one of the criteria we can use to tell male versus female woodcock. We have, of course, our bands to know, give them a unique identification number. These are basically like a little identification bracelet that we'll give them so that when someone else captures them in the future, we'll know exactly who they are. And where they came from, and they'll know they came from here on this day in Troy Meadows, New Jersey. And we'll be able to also get some information about how long their feathers are, how wide their feathers are, and all of this we can use to get a sense of how these woodcocks are doing on this site. And so a little while ago we just captured our third woodcock of the season, so we're pretty excited about this. I'm going to say it's all Nicole and her good luck today.
I'll totally take all the credit for that.
Yeah, everyone will invite you now just so they can capture the species.
I mean, there was that really awesome sunset as we were driving in, so I'll totally take credit. Like, I mean, it's New Jersey just being nice to me. Like, how long does that last for? A day, maybe? And then, like, it's going to be, like, true New Jersey afterwards? Or
I don't know. True New Jersey, I think, is pretty cool. That's why I'm still here. So, in my binder here, I keep track of all the information about any woodcock we band. So, I'll put the date, everyone collecting information, how we captured the bird. If we're doing a transmitter, we won't yet. We'll wait and see if we catch him a little bit later to make sure he's staying. And then all the different measurements that we can take, we'll take throughout here. We'll verify we didn't forget anything, and then we will release him. So, we have him. We did. He didn't walk away. he didn't fly away, at least, so we'll go ahead. Okay. So we're ready for him now.
If you can stop a bit lower.
Okay. So the trick is when you open a bird bag that you don't let them go. So we will do our best to not lose a bird on camera. So the trick is you want to keep it flat to your body, because when the opening happens, they will try to escape out. And this guy's pretty frazzled right now. He's pretty eager to get out of here. He's pooped in here.
Ooh, science poop. Hashtag science poop right there for you.
And so here we go. Here is a woodcock. And what we'll do first is go ahead and pop a band on him. And I just got more poop on me.
Yeah, you're making the video highlight for my niece right now. So.
Yeah, excellent.
So to everyone out there in Periscope land, if you have any questions, please send those in, and I'll make sure that to pass them on to Kathleen.
So what I have attempted to do and just dropped is find the first band. Let me figure out where it just slid. Aha, back here. And so what I need to do is I've popped open this band. So you can see right here, I need to pop it open a little bit more to be able to squeeze it around his leg. I want to make sure I have him in a nice, safe bander's grip.
So is that a prototypical woodcock size?
It seems to maybe be a little bit bigger than the last one we dealt with, so we will find out. As soon as we can get the band on him, the first thing you want to do is put the band on, so that way, if you inadvertently lose him, you at least know you've seen him before, and then we'll get the other measurements. So we'll go ahead, we'll pull a foot up, and we'll see if this band is opened enough to squeeze it in there. And it is. And then we rotate the band in there 90 degrees, so if he kicks while I'm holding him, he can't do any damage. And then we'll just squeeze it closed. And then we take our hand back, we look at our handiwork, we make sure it's nice and tight in there, that it is a nice seal, that it slides really well, because we want it to be nice and loose, we don't want it to chafe at all. And then of course we make sure we have the band number we think we do on here. And the last numbers are 203. So I'm going to go ahead and record that, which I have right here. 203. And now I'm going to go ahead and do some measurements. So this kicking and stressing right now is pretty good. It tells me he is alert and annoyed, but not worrisomely stressed. So like if he were to get really stressed, I would cut short the measurements and I would release him. But right now, he is not at all in a danger zone. His wing length is about 118. And so this is a special ruler ornithologists use because it has this T-stop right here in order to make sure that the bird's wing is right there and it doesn't go over. A regular ruler would not work. So it's 18.
So what is their status in New Jersey? Are they threatened or
So
endangered,
they
or
are
just
considered a declining species, but that is not anything that comes with any sort of status.
okay?
So in most states they are going down, but in no states are they listed, in part because they're a game species. But they are oftentimes a bird in which that we do pay special attention to their numbers. And there's a lot of conservation work being done. So right now I am getting a sense of how long the bill length is. And so let me make sure one thing that is actually set 0, 0. Yep, okay. I reset this earlier to a different measurement. I'm like, let me just check that I'm measuring this the right way. Better to measure, check twice than measure the wrong thing.
Very true.
Okay.
So we have a question coming in that says the bird seems somewhat calm. Is that pretty normal with them?
It's totally species dependent. There are birds that will flip out and scream and kick and be totally fine. Okay, he heard you.
And I think he just answered the next question after that, which was, is it dead? And no, obviously, as you can see, the bird is not dead.
That would be horrible. So we'll collect a feather in a moment. We're not going to put a transmitter on today. We did mist netting. Put my initials in there. Okay, we have done most of the measurements we need to. One of the things I am going to look at right here, if you go ahead and take a look at the feathers, we're looking for age. One of the things we want to look at, this contrast right here, is what we think. We're still in the process of really getting a sense of how this works in the field in the spring. But our guess is that where these look brand new and really fresh and these look older, would make this a first-year, hatch-year bird.
How long do woodcocks usually live?
They can live up to 10 years, but typically only live about between 1.8 to 2 years in the wild.
Is it just from predation, or?
Predation and hunting is probably the other big concern. So he's getting a little bit feisty, so I'm just going to look really quickly at the other feather tips. Although when I look at them, I don't, here I see quite a bit of wear, but up here I don't. So, Hadass, if I can ask you to take a picture of the wing, can you take a picture of the feathers? But yeah,
just like this, or
yep.
And so that way you have that digital file that
Yep.
you can go and look back at?
Yeah, so
okay.
we can, work backwards and age it later if need be, based on that. The last thing I want to do, I'm pretty sure based on these measurements, 62 based on the bill length and the wing length of 118, puts this guy firmly in as a male. The other thing we can do is measure the width of these three primaries. The whistling sound you hear when they are in the air is caused by the fact these three feathers are much thinner. And so the width of those will tell us also if he's a male, they need to be thinner because the males do that and the females do not.
So those three wings, or three feathers on the wing of a female would be much wider then?
Yep.
Okay.
And so we'll see really quickly how we do with getting, the trick is to not pinch it all. 1.7.
So as you guys can kind of hear, we're next to a fairly busy road right here, but just on the other side is all this awesome, amazing habitat of which the woodcocks are currently inhabiting.
Out. Can you just hold the wing?
Hold on.
Yep. So, yep. So this part oftentimes requires a second person just to hold the feathers out. And then if you can just pinch them like that. And then I can get in here and get these last measurements.
So what is the ultimate goal of studying the woodcock is one of the questions that is coming in.
Oops, so
When you get a chance.
Yep. Yeah, let me make sure I get him.
I was half saying it so that way I didn't forget it out because as they disappear off the screen.
So as you can tell by his kicking, you know, he is still pretty calm. And I am not worried about his stress level right now. And I am saying I'm going to leave it at that one right now because it's upsetting him. But I'm not too worried yet. I want to do two more things. I want to collect a couple feathers that we can use later on. Just to, you know, potentially do isotope studies or genetic testing potentially. You know, we'll see what we do with them. It's a good thing to, you know, collect, you know, while we have them in the hand.
What is it that they normally eat?
They eat almost entirely earthworms.
Okay.
You know, unless earthworms are lacking, then they will switch to other things, but their go-to diet is earthworms.
Okay.
In fact, there's one paper published that when the earthworms weren't available due to a late winter frost, they actually delayed breeding season by several weeks. So that tells you how important they are.
Right.
So I forgot to weigh him earlier because I wanted to get the band on him, so I'm going to go ahead and tear the scale with the bag. Excellent. And then I'll know exactly how much the bird weighs. Go ahead and we'll seal the bag up quickly the way we normally would, even though he won't be in there for that long. So the weight.
Can you check the corner over there, which is maybe touching the...
Is that
right.
Oh, right. So 138.7. We collected the feather. Okay, just making sure I have all my data. I determined he was a male. I did that by a couple things. I looked at molts and I looked at his primaries. So I'm recording exactly how I get my data so that in the event that, you know, we learn more later on, I can go back and correct any records and any mistakes I might have made. And so the last thing I'm going to do is check his fat. I'm going to assume because it's right after migration, he is not going to be very fat.
Where do they migrate from?
They come from the south. One of the interesting things about this bird, it is a shorebird, is it has a very short migration. Most of the, you know, record holders for migrations are shorebirds, but this guy, you know, quite the other way, at least evolutionarily speaking. And there are woodcock that are not migratory. Okay. So I am seeing just a lot of red muscle, so there's no fat in this guy, and he's about ready to go. So I'm going to release him over towards the wetland rather than towards the road. Okay, and we had somebody hanging out in the woods right there. And we'll see if he's ready to go. So oftentimes they don't like to actually leave, it seems. Like we've now had 3 birds and 3 times they've just like, I'm going to sit in the hand. I'm not really ready to go yet.
Oh, there he goes.
And left a feather and more poop. So if you think poop is good luck, this is the field you want to be in.
Have you guys actually like collected any of the poop from them for study, or is it just the feathers that you're collecting?
We haven't yet. We've definitely talked about it since I got pooped on a lot the last time. It is a definite, you know, thing we're considering. We'd actually need to remember to bring vials out. We haven't yet. but we are, this is a pilot study. We're still figuring out everything that we want to do, how to refine it. You might have seen like the tray was a little bit small for these guys. They're pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe putting, a slightly bigger tray so we don't have to worry about them, slightly sliding off the tray a bit and, falling and changing the weight a bit. Something we are definitely considering. But, this is the third bird we caught. So that was also my fastest record for banding a woodcock.
Well, you said you start in, what, April 10th is what you said?
April 10th is the safe date. So according to literature, after April 10th, any woodcock we find in this region should be a bird that's here for the summer, that's committed to this site. Before then, we get a lot of migrants. And one of the papers I was reading most recently suggested that 2/3 of the woodcock population are like in the Great Lakes region and up. So that means everything from south of the Great Lakes, west to the Mississippi, all the way down to Delaware and into Virginia, that's only 1/3 of the population spread in that area.
Oh.
So it's pretty sparse.
Okay.
So we don't know how many birds are actually nesting here. When I was out here a couple nights ago surveying the site, you can't really see it now, but we're up on a hill, and the way this park works in Troy Meadows is it's surrounded by suburbia. There's a highway to the north, and everything dips down. And so as you go into the park, you go into the wetland. And so I surveyed here a couple nights ago, and I had one bird call up here, and then another one further down, one way further out that wasn't in the study area, and maybe a fourth one like in the area. Is what it seemed to be, but what the other possibility is the one that started all the way up here could have moved further down pretty quickly.
Okay.
Because this work is crepuscular into the night, it means we don't know for sure. We can't get visuals on them, which is why banding and doing the radio transmitters is really important, because that lets us know exactly how many birds we have. If we can catch every bird on the site, we're going to know definitively, is it one bird that is, going to pick a site consistently and call from there? Is it multiple birds with different sites? Is it one bird that likes multiple sites? We don't really know that. And one of the things I would love to look at with the transmitters is if in highly fragmented areas, birds are constrained to just that one little patch, or if they start to build a network of patches. And what does that mean for connectivity for these birds? They fly pretty low to the ground. Even in migration, they only fly about 50 feet up in the air. So bird's eye view for a woodcock is very different than bird's eye view for like a red-tailed hawk or an eagle or even another shorebird. So it totally changes their perspective on what they see and how they see it.
Yeah, so like we were watching one earlier that was flying, you said up the roads around 300 feet. Is that like pretty normal with like how high they go in their displays?
Yeah, so what happens is when the sun sets, a couple minutes after, they will fly from the woods. And so all along the edge here are forests. And that's where they spend the day eating earthworms. And they'll come out to these little clearings in the swamp. And so we're in a wetland. It's pretty dry right now. It's been a while since we've gotten a good rain. So the wetter part is further in. And they find these patches. And we call them singing ground sites. Woodcock don't sing. They're not songbirds. But they do a vocal display, which we call singing. And so they come out. And they get onto that little clearing, and they make a peep sound. It's almost like a throat clearing.
Mm-hmm.
And then they turn a little bit to another direction, like peep, and they keep circling. And they're basically warming up their audience, which they hope is female. And once they feel like they are ready, what they will do is take off. And if you were tuned in when we looked at the wings, and those three primaries at the very tip, 10, 9, and 8, are much thinner. And because they're thinner, you get more turbulence there with the air, and it creates a sound. And you hear the whistling sound as they spiral upward. And so they'll start spiraling to about 300 feet. They'll do a couple really big loops, and you'll actually hear more of a twittering sound. And then they'll plunge back down. This plunging flight will actually have more of a horizontal component to it when it comes back into land, which is why we have the nets up next to singing ground sites, so that when they come back down, we catch them in the nets. And we can pop them up and bring them up here to band. And then as soon as they get back down to the ground, provided they don't hit a net, they will start the whole process again. Here, they tend to do that probably for about half an hour. I've never had a courtship display like that go for more than an hour. I have on the site actually twice had them go for about 40 minutes, stop for a while, and like 1 or 2 birds will start up again. That was also during migration. So woodhawk do many strange things. They're, you know, strange, funny-looking birds, and in fact, they do their courtship display starting on the wintering grounds, all the way up through migration, and onto the breeding grounds.
Neat. So like, how far is it? Can we go check out the nets or anything?
So yeah,
for
I
everyone to
hear
see, or...
some clanking, which means they might be coming down, but we can
Okay.
certainly take a walk through it and
That way people can kind of see,
you know, what's going on here at night.
Because not too many people out there have actually seen mist nets, you know,
Yeah.
in action. So, and we can give them maybe a slight sense of what everything looks like with our little small headlamps here.
So this is a park, in that you can see this trail is maintained. Wetlands are not usually this easy to walk into.
Yeah, as a wetland biologist, I can tell you, no, they never really look like this.
And so it is, we are very fortunate in that they like to fly back and forth from opposite sides of this path. And so further down we had some mist nets set up, and we'll get down there in a moment and see how things look. But if you know, turn the camera to the left or to the right, you will see the brush that gives them quite a bit of shelter when they're out here. That also makes it very hard for us to sneak up on them.
Okay. I'm sure they can probably scuttle through there pretty easy.
Yeah.
There's a question.
There are clearings here that are a little bit more open. That's the sort of place they're going to look for a singing ground site.
All right.
So like this has been one that they've used, you know, not very often, but we had a net up there previously, I believe.
So there's a question that came in asking, where do they nest? So do they nest on the ground or in the tree or
Yes.
in the bush? Like, where is it?
So they are ground nesters. They won't nest in this type of habitat. It's too open. But in the forests that are surrounding us, we will actually go out and look for the nests in a couple days. And you can see here, I'm going to interrupt that really quickly, or actually I'm going to finish that, and then we'll look at the nests.
No, that totally works.
So we have some forests right along that side, all the way on the far end of the wetland, and over on this side as well. If the forests are pretty open without a lot of understory, the females will find a good area in between the roots, and she'll maybe kick a couple sticks out of the way, and she'll call that home for her eggs. She'll lay them there, and as soon as they hatch, she'll take them into a shrubby like understory within the forest, so it's a little bit younger, and that's where she'll raise them for the next couple weeks. And then by June, they'll begin molting, and they'll come back out into these areas to forage at night. So they need lots of different habitats all in close proximity, because the nestlings will leave the nest within 5 hours of hatching, but they're not flight capable at that point. So everything that they do is going to be walking from site to site, so everything has to be close by.
Okay.
And so we have right here some of our mist netting gear, so I can go over that really quickly with you guys. So we have these poles right here. They're 5-foot poles. They're electrical conduits. We have a connector, and then another pole that goes right in on top. And then we have binder clips on it just to make sure that the nets don't slide, because we are in a wetland. We want to make sure the bottom of the net doesn't go into any water, that standing water we might be working in, because a bird sitting in water is going to be a bird that becomes very stressed pretty quickly, and we don't want that. So everything we do is with the bird safety in mind. This is our mist net. This is our newest contraption, designed by one of our volunteers, an engineer, professor at NGIT. And so what you can see is we just wrap the net around it. It prevents it tangling. And then we have the carbiners to just hook into any of these holes. And because most of our team is new in learning the process, we are trying to troubleshoot it and make it as trouble-free as possible for learning the protocols. Oftentimes you have a net in a bag. There's no color coordination of which loop goes where, which if you have the experience, you know, it's not a problem. But if you've never set up a mist net before, or you're doing it in the dark, it makes it a little bit harder, and any of these make it much easier. To keep the nets up in place, we have here basic gardening stake and some nice thick twine or rope to tie to the poles to keep the poles up. And it holds pretty well. We set it up, it wasn't that windy. You can see it's, you know, small breeze like this. And last night we looked at the weather forecast, it said there were 20-mile-per-hour winds, and we were like, are you kidding? There's no wind. And by the end of the night we had whoosh winds coming in. Yes, we did.
That's the laughing field experience right there. I've done that same laugh before.
And we watched our net that had a nice clear net lane when it wasn't windy blow straight into the thorns, and we spent the next like half hour pulling it out of the thorns, but we did not lose the net to the poles anyway, down to the wind. You know, that was just because it was in our hands and not secure. So it looks like, you know, Barb is taking down the last part of it there, but we can keep walking down and we can at least, you know, see how far it is. So you can see that first pole was there, and the whole net length goes this distance. So this is a 12-meter net, so it's about 36 feet. And she's just wrapping up the last of the stakes. One of the most challenging parts of this is not getting caught in the thorns. The other part is not leaving anything behind in the dark.
Right.
So stakes are probably going to be the thing we are most likely to lose. We did buy extra at the beginning for that reason.
I lost one today. I can't find it anywhere.
Okay.
And it was light.
Mhm.
So there you go.
Yeah, so, you know, we learn. It's a learning process. And, you know, if we're going to lose something, I'd far rather lose a stake than a volunteer.
That
or
is
a
very
bird,
true.
you know, like they're, you know, let me lose the thing that, you know, it's like $3 for 3 of them, then, you know, the volunteer or the bird, both of which are priceless.
Yeah. Stakes are replaceable. Yeah, we may have lost and left a number of things in wetlands over my course of different research that I've done, so it happens. So as long as someone doesn't get stuck in the wetland themselves, you're good.
Yeah, so we have spring peepers calling right now, but otherwise it's pretty quiet. On this site, we've had foxes calling, we've had screech owls, we've had mockingbirds, you know, we've had Canada geese calling all night. Sometimes this is a pretty active site acoustically. You can hear a little bit with planes, or 2 planes in the sky, 3 planes in the sky right now. That's pretty typical for this area. We have 3 major airports and a number of other local airports.
Yeah, how close are we to those major airports? Because there's what you said, Newark, JFK, and LaGuardia. Like, how close are we to all that?
So Newark, we would have been here sooner if we hadn't missed that one turn. Is about 20 miles away, and LaGuardia and JFK are probably within 40. Teterboro is also close by. That's, you know, probably a little bit closer than Newark. You know, so we do have a number of airports in the area that make it so we have lots of air traffic here. And in fact, on a clear blue sky, if you're at a hawk watch here, you might use planes to identify where the birds are rather than clouds.
So how many nets do you normally set up at a site? Is it just these 2, or?
So yeah, we typically do 4 nets. You know, it's still a protocol, a pilot study where we're figuring all this out. So we will, you know, hopefully scale up, but with it being a, you know, learning process right now, it can take a while to get these nets set up. So we, you know, I can do probably about 3 nets in an hour, provided I don't do anything stupid like drop them, which does occasionally happen. I will totally confess, I am guilty of dropping my own nets. But when you're learning, it can take anywhere from, you know, 30 minutes to 40 minutes, you know, to put up a net for your first time without problems. And then once you have any sort of problem, you know, it goes uphill from there.
So, like, how late into the evening do you normally sample? Like, is it a very short window that you have?
Yeah, so when I said before that they're active for about half an hour, you know, 40 minutes, you know, that is our window to collect data. Okay. And then, you know, we'll take some time to, you know, pack up at the end, process. If we get a bird at the end, like, that might keep us out later. But, you know, an hour after sunset, we're usually packing up. So it's a very short season, you know, calendar-wise. And just with the sheer number of opportunities, because it's not like, okay, we have, you know, 1 month to do this. It's we have 30 hours to do this, you know, a year. So it is you know, that does lend a certain intensity to the project.
Sure. Well, if you have any more questions for Kathleen, now's your time to send them in, since we're starting to wrap things up here. So we'll give you a few moments to get any last-minute questions in. Otherwise, I'll start talking about what's going to be going on tomorrow. We'll be interviewing a number of different... It helps if you're looking up there. Nope.
Nope.
Not wanted to do it. So we're just going to have your face while I'm talking.
That's
so you can mouth what I'm saying, right? So anyways, tomorrow we'll be on the New Jersey Institute of Technology. Yes, I've got that right.
Yes.
It's been a long day of traveling. So we'll be interviewing a number of PhD students and talking about their research. So make sure you tune in for all of those times on Scicomm Monday, and we'll get those posted up tonight for you and let you know who it is that we'll be talking to. And then I'll also be giving a seminar on Scicomm. So if you're interested and that, make sure you tune in. I'll be live tweeting myself. You'll see how I do it without my hands using my phone at the time. So, but yeah, other than that, I hope you guys all enjoyed this. This was great to actually be able to see a bird in the
It was great to catch a woodcock.
Yeah, that's my lifer woodcock right there, by the way.
Awesome.
So yeah, thank you, Kathleen, and make sure you tune in tomorrow for all the rest of the Rutgers, NJIT, Scicomm fun. So look up that hashtag and follow along with everything that's happening. So until tomorrow, I hope you guys have a good night, and if you guys missed the actual bird at the beginning, go back and watch it. It's totally worth it. So, all right, you guys have a good night.